You don't buy a 2CV because you like to go fast or you like, I don't know, normality. But to harp on the 2CV's problems is maybe to not get it. There is nothing normal about this car. Absolutely nothing normal. The harder you corner, the heavier the steering gets. The shift lever is an umbrella poking out of the dash. The doors have little windows that flip up. The top rolls back. The windshield and pretty much everything on it is either flat or shaped to look like the face of a snail. And it is one of the greatest things mankind has ever invented. It's best to think of a 2CV like a French Volkswagen Beetle, with everything that implies. If the Beetle is the Germans looking at a problem and going, all right, well, I bet we could do some different things and make an answer, the 2CV is the French looking at a problem and going, everyone else is wrong. Yeah, that's it. Oh, so slow. You go everywhere in a 2CV flat out. And remember, this is the late car with the big motor. 30 horsepower, even in a car this small, is not much. Hills can be a struggle. Interstates can be an exercise in, I don't know, masochism, sadism, pick your ism. The French have this odd way of looking at life that basically just zeroes down to, if that's uncomfortable, I don't want to do it. This car was designed to put an entire country on wheels, and it did. Somebody once said that 2CVs really are just like walking with a hat on. And they're not wrong. This car basically asks less of you than a pair of shoes. The motor will go until the end of time. Bumpy roads don't get noticed. Speed bumps almost don't get noticed. Corners make you laugh. Traffic makes you think everybody else is taking life too seriously. And you go slow enough that you notice everything. That flower, that tree, color of the shorts on that guy on the bike. You enjoy life. I like that. There is so much rad stuff here, but the thing about a 2CV is pretty much the thing about every old school Citroën, where the rad stuff is also the same stuff that makes you go, what? The headlights on this bar adjust by cable, fore and aft, so you can change with load or incline or conditions. The shift lever that comes out of that transmission is just a giant shift lever, only it's in the engine bay instead of in the car. And because they didn't want to cut into the car or compromise interior room or put this big, expensive, complicated linkage on it, they just stuck this thing that looks like an umbrella handle through the dash to grab that shift lever and shift back and forth. The two cylinders on this flat twin are ahead of the front wheels and the transmission's behind it, but it has inboard disc brakes. Why? These heat exchangers pick up fresh air from the wheel well because it was just convenient. It was there, it was simple. There's so much weird, neat stuff going on here, and so much other stuff where you're like, why is the coil there? It's fascinating and cool and quirky and weird and also maddening. And I guess that's France in a nutshell, isn't it? So the car is called 2CV, because of the tax class it first fit into in France. 2CV, chevaux, means steam horses, horsepower, right? Fit into the 2 horsepower tax class. It was brand new, made around 9 horsepower from a 375cc twin cylinder. Basically a long copy of a BMW motorcycle engine that wasn't quite a copy. Late cars got the big block. It was a 675. It made 33 horsepower. There is no more ridiculous answer to the question of what is a usable car than this. Stuff gets sillier, but this is actually practical. You could go places in it, 4 people in their luggage. So Citroën, and French in general, but especially Citroën, believe that cars should be comfortable, right? They chase that at all costs. It has these giant cylinders on each side. Each one has a spring in it, but the front and rear wheels are interconnected so that when this one compresses, the other one, priming for the bump that it's about to see, fights back. So the whole car stays level. At the same time, there are mass dampers in these cylinders that help slow out the ride motions. The whole thing was designed to work like a human walking, like the gait of a person, right? So none of the motions, no rough road, would ever make anybody inside sick. And the odd thing is it all works really, really well. On a good day, this is more comfortable than a new S-Class. It's more comfortable than any air-suspended Rolls-Royce. It is a real luxury car disguised as a lawn tractor. The late cars with the big block in them will do something like 70, 75 miles an hour. I saw 80 miles an hour downhill once in Washington State in a late 2CV, and it was almost terrifying, but not quite. But that's the thing, right? So everything here was designed to be usable and practical and almost indestructible. The engine was built without cylinder head gaskets and without gaskets in a lot of places where you'd have gaskets to begin with because they wanted to remove a failure point. So they spent extra time on how the surface is mated, and as a result, the engines are both incredibly long-lived and incredibly oil-tight. They're stressed really, really lowly. They make most of their power and their torque down low. There's no point in spinning them out. But because of that, they last a long, long time. Brakes last a long time. Tires last a long time. This was one of the first cars to use radial tires. You put more people in it, and as the suspension compresses, the wheelbase extends and the caster angle on the front increases, which basically just means that the car gets more stable and gets more front grip in a corner as you load it up, which means that it gets oddly safer to drive the more stuff you toss in it. All of that is the joy of owning one of these things. The early ones are essentially a little too slow to be practical in modern traffic, but a late one is about as fast as a good VW Beetle and can keep up with an interstate if you have a couple of days to get up to speed. The late ones especially have actual tube-style dampers instead of the friction dampers on the early cars, so they tend to ride just a little bit better and they don't have quite as much body motion. Everything here is simple. And if you can't fix it, it's only because you can't hold a wrench. You physically have no hands. My grandmother, my dog, that post could fix this car. Anyone can fix a 2CV, and that's part of the ownership joy. The corollary to that is that they don't really break. You don't really have a lot to do except drive it and laugh. So now I've convinced you to buy one. The question is, which one of these little weirdo bugs do you want? Well, any of them are fine. They're all slow, but the later ones are actually practical. They make enough power and can accelerate enough to keep up with modern traffic, and their interiors are slightly nicer. All of them rust. They don't get any less rust-worthy as they get newer. Citroën built these cars into the 80s, and a lot of those have found their way to America. Generally speaking, you want the newest one you can afford in the nicest shape you can find because, well, they don't really wear out mechanically. And again, like there are stories of 100 or 150,000 or 200,000 or 250,000 mile 2CVs on their original motor and gearbox. They don't really wear out mechanically. The body disintegrates. It is nothing but a series of small diameter tubes, folded steel that isn't much thicker than sheets, and flat stuff that rusts a lot because it traps water because it eats something else flat. So first, be concerned with the condition of the body. Interior trim is all cheap, while the exterior trim is cheap. It's generally available for pennies. You'd be shocked. Second, be concerned with condition of the body. And third, think about the body. If the rest of the car is in great shape, but the doors are rusty and the top is leaking and the doors are rusty and the sills are rusty and the doors are rusty and oh, did I mention the doors rust? Leave. If the car is in great shape but simply needs mechanical stuff, that just means it's been used and taken care of and loved, and you should probably take it home and spend, I don't know, $50 fixing the stuff it needs and then drive the hell out of it.
The Citroën 2CV is ridiculous and seems to be increasing in popularity, which says something good about humanity. A number 3 good condition car was valued by Hagerty at just under $10,000 in 2009, but in 2016 prices began increasing. By September 2020, you could expect to pay around $14,700 for one. As always, values change over time, so please go to Hagerty.com/valuation tools in order to get the most detailed and up-to-date information.
You might ask yourself, why did they build this? Well, they built it because there was an entire nation of farmers who needed to get places and didn't have a lot of money, and also much of France wasn't paved. Years after the war, are we running out? Why is it surging? Why is it surging? Why are we surging? What are you doing, car? What did I do? Did I insult France? Did I say something bad about Baudelaire? I don't like wine! Are you gonna revolt? It seems to be behaving. It seems to be behaving. Look, there's a man on a bicycle. I bet he's going faster. Now, part of the reason that the Volkswagen Beetle is the Volkswagen Beetle and the 2CV is the 2CV, which is to say they built a lot of Volkswagen Beetles and everybody remembers it fondly, and they built a lot of 2CVs and everybody remembers it as like, the French did that. Isn't that weird? Is because a Beetle does a much better impression of a normal car, but it's also a lot less interesting to drive in the modern world. You buy a 2CV because you want an escape from everything normal. Look at this, watch this. There's so much body roll that the limit in a corner isn't so much your bravery or the tires, but how close the door handles are to the pavement. You can shift it, and you do, often, usually when the car stops accelerating. If you're going somewhere and your foot's on the floor, and your foot is on the floor all the time, and it's slowing down, you just drop it down a gear. It doesn't mean you're gonna go any faster. Sometimes it means you might just hold the speed you're going, but you'll get there. All of the power is down low or in the middle. You rev it, you make noise, and not much more forward progress. The brakes work. They're there, they're present. They take a lot of effort, but they stop the car. The steering is set up such that when you go around a corner, the more load you put into the car, the heavier the steering gets. Almost like somebody French somewhere is saying, you do not want to go that fast. How would you have another bottle of wine when you get to your house if you are going that fast? Go slower, you will be relaxed. Why would you buy one? Well, you have a sense of humor. It's not running again. Yep, it's dying. Yeah, that's what's happening. You have to have a sense of humor. I swear to you, I have hundreds upon hundreds of miles in 2CVs. They're reliable cars. It's because I made fun of France, isn't it? So it doesn't like big throttle, so maybe little throttle and a lot of clutch slip? There we go. Come on. Oh, baguettes and wine. I love you. I love you. Baguettes and wine. Hello, please. Baguettes and wine. Oh, God. I don't even remember what these things weigh. It's probably like 9 million pounds. Yeah, sure, feels like that.